How long did you wait before the Misfits, before putting Sam Hain together, and why?
I did, the last show, like formal show I did with the Misfits was the Civic show with Black Flag.
I remember that show.
Okay, I quit that night. I told him I'm out of the band. Me and him had always been talking about doing a band together because they're both unhappy with both of our bands. And so I did one more show with the Misfits, which was the final Misfits show in Detroit, because we always had a big crowd there and a lot of people, you know, we just felt we owed it to them. We did one final show on Halloween in Detroit, and also that's the night of Sam Hain, and that's when Sam Hain actually started that night.
Drummer for that show was named Brain Damage. He got drunk before the show and couldn't play properly, so after a few songs you escorted him off the stage.
Yes,
things came to a head, and Danzig announced to the audience that it would be the band's final show.
We need more drums in the monitors. We can't hear what the fuck we're doing. This is our last show ever. We decided to do it in Detroit. The crowd was named tonight. Thanks a lot.
Well, I'll just blow this one off really quick, but if you could give like 25 words or less, what accounted for the demise of the Misfits?
So many things. That's a difference in musical direction.
The Misfits was just becoming this like kind of comic book Kiss thing, and I was never a big Kiss fan. So a little more real, a little darker, a little more violent.
Lack of touring, like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And for the other guys, it was just kind of like, a hobby. They worked for their father, and the band wasn't making enough money for, for them to stop working for their father. And I, thought the band was, and just things like that, and not getting along together anymore either, It was together too many years,
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
For us, the Misfits never stopped. In 1983, we broke up and tried to put the band back together in 85, but we ran into legal problems, which took 13 years to solve.
Where are they living?
They're living up in Vernon Valley.
And what are those guys doing now?
Nothing. Working for their dad.
So we were building our guitars and designing our equipment, and we didn't have a singer, so we would work on riffs. So after about a year of this, we had all these riffs, so we started to put them together as an album.
And basically, the Misfits was my name, my song, so that was the end of the Misfits.
So in pursuit of trying to regain our name, we went out and hired lawyers. The first lawyer was not good for us, he was bad. And the second lawyer managed to get a settlement where we received our name. We had to let go of our old song publishing and other things. But for us, money wasn't the issue, it was the issue to come back and play for the kids.
Do you ever do any Misfits or Sam Hain songs?
No.
They just put that as in the past?
Is this band called the Misfits or Sam Hain? No, it's called Danzig.
Okay.
Yeah. Why do you keep asking questions about that? You want me to just pop you?
I was just curious. There's people out there that are a little bit curious about stuff like that.
Here's my viewpoint on this. This is it. It's the end. Both those bands, there was a time when those bands were around, and the magazines were around then, and they should have asked the questions about those bands at that time.
I don't know. It was tough back then.
It was a lot of work.
A lot of people, maybe embellish it as the years go on, or people look back on it and we're like, oh, but it was like, you didn't make any money. You drove around in a van. Some nights you'd play for, a couple thousand people, and some night you'd play for like 50 people. That's the way it was,
So it takes these bands, legends, to live on, and then you want to ask questions about it with these other people. Well, you should have asked them a long time ago.
The question maybe you don't want to hear again, but of course, did you ask Glenn again?
Yes, we did.
Let's end.
He threw us out of his hotel. We took that as a no. When we settled the lawsuit that we had between Glenn and Caroline Records, that our fans, said, a lot of them said, don't deal with Glenn. And a lot of them said, well, you guys should get Glenn back in the band.
Now, but you did have a deal with Jerry Only, correct? there is some kind of deal that you guys have worked out where he can use the name legally?
A long time ago. So I'm not going to use it, so, but he has to say who's in the band, and he doesn't do that anymore, so it's kind of misleading.
So we went down, we didn't want to talk to his management, we wanted to talk to him. So we tracked him down and we went to his hotel. And I got somebody in his room on the phone, and Doyle, I've seen what room number it was. Doyle went up and banged on the door, and he had security escort us from the building, so we got kicked out, and we took that as a no.
So since the Misfits and Sam Hain were all on Plan 9, which was your record label, which is your record label. And
you're treading on thin ice,
that one word, so I don't bring it up anymore. I learned that lesson in Germany. I learned that lesson in Germany, bringing up that word. Wait.
I'm happy that he said no, because I fulfilled my obligation to the fans by asking him. I really didn't want him back in the band because we have problems with him.
How are things between you and Jerry now? I haven't talked to Jerry in about 16 years.
But do you appreciate like this kind of cult following that you still have with the Misfits? Like we got at least in here 2 big fans of you. Like they have all the records.
That's cool. Yeah, the music is meant to last, And so the Misfits, Sam Hain, and hopefully Danzig will last.
You just referenced Doyle's participation in doing the 30-minute set of Misfits material. How did that happen, and did you go wholeheartedly into that, or did you have to be persuaded to do that? Because I know that you're always a visionary and looking ahead.
I think we just started talking, and it just eventually came about. I mean, I think I asked him, because he had left the Misfits, and I asked him if he was going to still perform or not, and he said, yeah, well, I think it just eventually came about in our conversations, and eventually it happened. I mean, he's right there. You can ask him,
How do you feel, Doyle, about these string of shows that you've been doing with Glenn after all these years? I mean, how does it feel to be back on the stage with him?
Good. Are you happy that the new version of the Misfits are touring and still putting out CDs?
I don't really care.
You don't care either way.
Yeah.
And, if we went back dealing with Glenn, it would all be about money. And then it would be nothing. What we would have is nothing. Look, people say, oh, well, Jerry's all about the money. If I was about the money, I'd play with Glenn. That would be it. I'd make 10 times more than I'm making because everybody wants to see this, hocus pocus thing.
And I have to ask, and I hope I don't tread on muddy waters here, but I've read where, Glenn, you've said, this is as close that anyone is ever going to see of a Misfits reunion. And let me ask you.
That's pretty true. I don't see it.
Let me ask.
For me, yeah, that's.
So you don't ever anticipate there ever being a reconciliation between you and Jerry?
I'm not doing a reunion with him.
Ever?
Yeah, it's not happening.
I'd rather pump gas, and hang with Glenn, with Uncle Des and watch the Giants.
I don't know about that. I know that right now, and at least for the foreseeable future, I can't see it happening. And then you can ask the man right there, too.
How do you feel about that, Doyle?
I think that's up to him, right?
Yes, it is.
You can't make the sandwich without the bread. It's up to you. I'll do whatever, but it's up to you.
It's kind of like a marriage. When you're married and you get, with the woman and everything is running good, and then you have problems and you split up, doesn't mean that the times together were bad. It means that times now aren't really, as good as they should be.
Former Misfits members Glenn Danzig, Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein, and Jerry Only last made music together in 1983. But after a near reunion about 10 years ago fell apart, fans are still wanting to see the three share a stage again and play the older songs the way they were originally intended. Jerry still maintains the Misfits name and carries on the tradition. However, fans are rabid for a new album from the Reunited 3. Well, that seems like a distant reality in 2013. As for the reunion, what happened?
Glenn set up a meeting. Me and Jerry flew out. We met his manager and him. We had a talk. We were going to do it. The next day, we weren't going to do it.
There was a rumor that Glenn and Doyle actually asked to have a reunion and that you said no.
Well, that's pretty interesting because it was something that could never really occur. I mean, you know, the thing is, you got two different philosophies on life, and something that you know, could have been entertained, but you know, there's just too much ego and too much you know, corporation talk involved, and I mean, we're not that, you know.
They both want to be the boss, so it's just like, you know what I mean? So instead of everybody just saying, okay, let's do this.
I mean, our egos is not bigger than our obligation to our fans.
You know what I mean? Well, you gotta be the boss. Who gives a f***? You know what I mean? I find that this is the only fucking business in the world where a bunch of people can't get along to make millions of dollars. You know? What the fuck is wrong with everybody? Does it suck to play music? No. I'm ready to do it right now. I'll drop what I'm f***ing doing. I'll put the Doyle record right here, and we'll go do it.
Look, I got a lot of respect for Glenn. I always thought that Glenn had a lot of talent, and I just think that, you know, Glenn, I don't want to say is misguided, but I think that he's got a message that's not productive for the people who get it.
That's kind of been blown out of proportion. The satanic thing has been blown out of proportion. There are lots of different things going on in the songs. The fans know.
I like Glenn. I never really disliked Glenn as a person.
Those guys, just gotta talk to them. You know, I started talking to them, and like I said, everything's got to be ironed out.
As we get near the end of this interview, many people will stand back and look at Glenn and your career and all the things that you're doing now, and people might say, Glenn Danzig's really come full circle. Do you agree with that?
I don't know what that means.
Meaning, like, you've done it all. I mean, what else?
No, I haven't done it all.
You haven't?
No, the best is yet to come. Yeah, that's for sure. Man, I want to do a lot, you know? I want to keep just expanding, you know?
And what you'll find is that I think that the Misfits has more ahead of it than behind it.
Riot Fest, September 18th, Douglas Park, Chicago. You're only doing 2 shows. I mean, we're hoping a tour's coming out of this, but two confirmed shows.
If they run well and we find that we are hitting the potential, you see, the thing is with us, we're a legendary act. We need to live up to what people conceive us to be. And the beauty of it is that Glenn's in great shape. My brother looks like friggin' Hercules. And, you know, I dropped about 20 pounds. Even Mancow noticed it. You know, I'm running every day, playing basketball with my nephews, trying to, you know, get that kind of mobility going. And then I rehearsed the set about 3 times a day. We got it on CD. We just got back from LA and we recorded the set. So I put it in, we put it through the PA, and we rehearsed to it. So it's like 1 hour of cardio, really. And so it's going to be us at the top of our game. And the thing is that I'm bringing the Winnebago for her last voyages, one to Denver and then again to Chicago. So
wow,
you know, it's old school. You know, I don't want to lose that old school vibe. I think that if we become, you know, rock stars, we're going to forget why we came. And the reason we came was to really go out there and dominate and not really care about the bottom line. We don't care about the money. We care about the impact. And I think we made a great impact in our career.
So, September 18th, Douglas Park, Riot Fest. Headline, no one thought it would happen, the reunion of the Misfits.
It's going to be good.
Danzig, Jerry, and Doyle. We thought it would never happen. It's happening.